Welcome to Creating Wealth with Jason Hartman. During this program, Jason is going to tell you some really exciting things that you probably haven't thought of before, and a new slant on investing. Fresh new approaches to America's best investment that will enable you to create more wealth and happiness than you ever thought possible. Jason is a genuine, self-made multimillionaire who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk. He's been a successful investor for 20 years and currently owns properties in 11 states and 17 cities. This program will help you follow in Jason's footsteps on the road to financial freedom. You really can do it. And now, here's your host, Jason Hartman, with the complete solution for real estate investors.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Show. This is episode number 165, and this is your host, Jason Hartman. Thanks for joining me today. We've got a great show for you today with Dr. Tony Alessandra. He is a professional speaker and author, and what he's really into is something called the Platinum Rule. And this is all about relationship strategies, relationship building, leadership, influence, sales skills, and sales techniques. And it just really applies to every area of life.
And that's why when I ask people to take the online assessment, regardless of whether it's Platinum Rule, Social Styles, DISC, I ask them to pick a focus: work, social, family, so that they can answer the questions about how they believe they behave in that environment.
One of the things that flows out of all of this, that people have had a very tough time sort of getting their arms around, because it's a very intangible thing where in life, you know it when you see it, some people have it and some don't. But you say that it can be developed, and I think that you have really done one of the definitive works on the subject of this intangible charisma quality. And how can people develop more charisma? I mean, are some people just born with it and kind of lucky to have it, and others need to develop it and work on it?
That's exactly right. Some people have natural charisma. For instance, a Ronald Reagan, a Bill Clinton, a John F. Kennedy, natural charisma. Let's look at somebody who, I would say two people that actually either have or had a lot of charisma, but they developed it, and that was the late Lady Di, Princess Diana.
Sure.
And, you know, if you look at her earlier in life, when she first came into the royal family, they used to call her Shy Di. And what happened is she developed the traits to be more charismatic. And very few people would argue that by the time of her untimely death, she was one of the most charismatic people in the world. Another classic example is George Foreman. Today, you look at George Foreman, and he is incredibly charismatic. But when you go back into his earlier years, when he was boxing and he was the world champion, he was anything but charismatic. He was scary. So what I do in my, I've done a lot of work on charisma. So I have it in a book form with Warner Books. I have it on an audio program, and I even have it in video form. But basically what I say is I've broken charisma into 7 different traits or characteristics that you could work on to become more charismatic. So that's really what that's all about.
Well, we're just trying to know, what are the 7? I mean, Tony, I remember showing that video to my sales team several years ago, and they really liked it because this was it's a real intangible. I mean, I've known people that just have charisma, and boy, they always get the girl, they always get the success in life, they have the really good social skills. What are those 7 things? Can you just outline those quickly for us?
Yeah, I'll just do it real quickly. One is your silent messages. And what this is, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Right.
Your silent messages, you unconsciously send out signals to others, everything from when you open your mouth, how you walk, how you talk, the way you dress, and all of these silent messages shape your image and affect how people perceive you. So that's one that I talk about. But there are several parts to silent messages, but that's one of the 7 areas. A second one is your level of persuasiveness. So, charismatic people are persuasive. They can distill complex ideas into simple messages and get people to kind of follow along. A third area is their ability to speak. All right, so it's how well people can articulate ideas. And then the other side of the coin of being able to speak well is your listening skills, which are rarely taught and infrequently practiced, but it is key to making others feel special when they're around you. So that's 4 so far: silent messages, persuasiveness, speaking skills, listening skills, adaptability, which we talked about earlier, which is your ability to change your approach or your strategy based on the situation or the person you're dealing with, and that is sort of built around those behavioral styles. A 6th area is your use of space and time. And use of space is the whole concept of proxemics, whether people are contact-oriented or not contact-oriented, how close you can get to people, how far away you should stay from people. And then time is how you convey your use of time with other people. For instance, if you're always late with somebody, that sends a message, whether you want to or not, that you don't value that relationship as much as maybe another one where you're always on time or early. The last 7th area is your vision, your ideas. So, regardless of how strong or persuasive a speaker you are, or how adept you are at connecting with others, or your listening skills, or even your silent messages, you still have to have something to say, something that you're passionate about that gets other people to jump on the bandwagon. So those are the 7 areas. I get into each one of them in depth and tell you how to measure how much of each of those 7 traits you have, and then how to develop more of each of those 7 traits. So that's the whole charisma program.
Fantastic. Can anybody really do that? Is that possible for even the least charismatic person out there to develop charisma, to improve those 7 abilities?
Well, Jason, I think people can learn to become more charismatic, but it doesn't mean that a person who has very little charisma, even if they follow what I suggest, they're not going to become a Bill Clinton type of charisma. They'll become more charismatic, but not as much as somebody who is naturally charismatic, or somebody who is naturally charismatic and develops it even more. So, it's just, again, it's a level. We're not going to turn somebody into a very outgoing, persuasive, likable, magnetic personality. We're just saying that we can move people along the continuum of no charisma to incredibly charismatic. It's just moving people along that scale, and it's just going to make them that much more magnetic and likable than they are today.
Fantastic. Tony, you have been a very successful speaker and author for many, many years, and you're moving, you alluded to it earlier, you're moving more into automating your business and setting up things. I was wondering if you could share a few business tips for our listeners on what it takes to become successful in your business or any business.
Well, I think what it takes to be successful is good people skills, which I've been fortunate enough to have since I was a kid, but I constantly develop it. It's having a service mentality. So, I bend over backwards to serve my customers. If they are not happy, I'm not happy. If they want their money back, they get it before the words are out of their mouth. I mean, I jump through hoops, and I tell my team of employees to jump through hoops to make people happy. I focus on long-term relationships and long-term profitability, not on a single transaction. If I have to lose money on a single transaction, I will do that to keep a customer for life. And I don't think many businesses or people within businesses have that mentality or are taught that. Sometimes an employee just follows the party line, and they look at the transaction and not the value of the customer over the life of the business or being a customer.
Yeah, certainly the lifetime value of the customer is very important to focus
Very
on.
crucial.